Okay, I've got the carburetor off with Amanda, and the only thing I have here to take it apart is this kitchen knife. I recommend you guys get one like this at a thrift store or something that has a blunt end but very narrow, typical. But then it begins to get thicker and thicker towards the handle, especially on this back side, because you'll be using that. The 9/32 socket that we used earlier, I'm going to take this carburetor bowl off. These are the long screws. The short ones, they're the 9/32, go into the actual carburetor through the air, where the air filter is. So we got those screws out. Got a little piece of cardboard here. There may be some fuel leakage when I take this apart. I'm going to run this edge of this kitchen knife, it's not sharp, and put it right in there. Okay, so it's in between that, and now you push it and it'll start to separate because of the gentle wedge shape of this. Now you flip it over and there's even more of a wedge shape, and it really starts to separate. And I got to be careful because it may fall off and throw gas everywhere. So now it didn't. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, only this time I'm going to put it on the cardboard because it may just drop off, okay? So I'm sliding it in here. Using a little cardboard piece here to, okay, now slide it in. All right. Now I'm going to tilt it just a little. Okay, that's not enough. You can see now, flip it over. This will separate it even more. Okay, now it's wanting to come apart. So it's apart now. It's very clean. One of the first things I do is look at this little jet to see if I see daylight, and I do. So that's good. And this thing has not been leaking. There's the old gas in there. I'm going to get rid of that. I'll be right back. All right. Now, surprisingly, so there's no leakage there. Surprisingly, there's often fuel under this is called the cartridge, and I'm going to get that out by using a little screwdriver. Okay, this is not the one I normally use, but here we go. There is a slot right there and right there. So I'm going to put this in one of the slots right there, and then push it down. And this is not the new screwdriver I usually use, but this one doesn't go in there as easily as my other little one. Almost went in my eye. So anyway, you may have seen that pop out. And so now I can lift this out. And I'm going to go ahead and turn. Did you see that fuel pour out? See that? That's old gas, and that's got to come out of there. That's the first thing that's going to go in your mower, is that old gas. You don't want that. You want some nice new gas. And so here's the little cartridge that came out. I'm going to get a paper towel and separate this and see if there's any dirt up in here, because there might be some significant debris. Like right here, See, there should be a hole there. I'm gonna look at this real closely when I separate it. So I'm gonna grab this side and then this side, and I'm gonna start twisting, and I'm gonna take this lower piece off. I'm separating it, so you'll probably hear that sound. So here it comes. Almost got it. See this, before it completely comes off, I thought I'd show this to you. See, it's starting to slip, and we want to get this, we want to separate that so we can look at the emulsion tube and see if there's any crud up in there. And I don't see any on this side, and look on the, there's a little bit, see that? And it doesn't take much to plug this thing up. Well, this got to go through the tiniest little openings. And let me take a quick look at this thing again. See that? I think that should be open. Let's take a, let me get one of my cleaning wires. Hang on. I use this little collection of wires that I've got, very small to larger. And I'm going to try and slip it in there. Yeah, see that was blocked off. So this mower is never going to run right without that thing being cleaned out. So I got that one with the small one. Now I'm going to put the big wire in there. Let's see, where's that? There. Here's my big one, because it's big enough to handle that. Because that needs to be clear. Oh, I slipped out the brass fitting. Came out with the whole thing. I can probably put that back in, but well, that's dirty up in there. So let me hit that with some carb cleaner. You can see that or not, but there's some serious grunge in there. See if I can get that out. Okay, that's a lot better. I don't know if you can see in there, it's such a small piece, but that was all, had a bunch of black gunk in there. So now I'm going to see if I can get this little brass fitting back in. Where it goes right in there. So let me see if I can slip that in. Yeah, it just squeezed right in. Now you can see that hole. So you see the daylight? So you got to have that. All right, so now I can reassemble this thing. Actually, before I reassemble, I'm going to go ahead and try and get my, I got the ultra fine, then I got my medium. I want this medium to go in there. Yep. See, that's perfect. That's going really good. And then the big one is not going to go in because it's too big. It's close, but not, it's too big. But you can see a little daylight there. That's what you want, because that's all the fuel this mower's going to burn. It's got to go through that tiny little opening right there. All right, so now let's reassemble this thing. Yeah, got that okay. I usually put a little drop of oil there, or a little WD-40. That helps it ease this. So let me put a little shot on there. It's going to be off camera, but put a little lubricant, very tiny amount, like a drop. There we go. Little tiny amount there. Napkins or paper towels about to blow away. So now slide this on here, and that little bit of lubricant's going to help you to get that thing back together. Okay, see there? Now it's back together and ready to put back in the carburetor. And this looks pretty good down in there. A little bit about carburetor cleaner. You really don't want to be spraying that stuff everywhere, because it will mess with these rubber parts, and you can get them to where this doesn't even install anymore. And the bowl gasket can get so stretched out from that carb cleaner that you have to replace it. It won't even work. So you got to be careful with the carb cleaner. So I'm going to put just a little in here, but I'm going to try to be careful not to put it on the actual bowl gasket. Give me a paper towel in here, run it around. I don't really want this to come in contact with that bowl gasket and mess with that rubber. So I'll set that over here. And now, of course, the needle seat is also got a rubber tip on it, so you don't want to be shooting carb cleaner in there either. All right, so let's just put a little bit here on the surface and a little bit around there and get it out of there real quick, because I don't want it hanging around the rubber parts. All right, and see, I have not put it down there where that needle seat is. And now this thing is ready to reassemble, because it wasn't leaking and the needle seat should be okay. So got the carb here. You know what, let me go ahead and clean this off some. See all that gunk there? That's dirty. That's old. See, that's old fuel. See how it's kind of yellowish, the color of beer? It's old fuel. There, I've opened it up. I'm going to put this paper towel in there. There and there. Gotten a lot of that dirt and debris out of there. I am going to go ahead and hit once or twice to the carb cleaner here, and that opening, and this opening. Very small amounts, I don't want a lot. Okay, so now let's put our little cartridge back in. It goes right there with the jet, which we cleared, on the same side as this rubber gasket. That's how you know you got it in there. It only goes in one way. You can't do it this way. It only goes that way. Now I take my little butter knife and tap the very top of this. Hear that? It's loose. Now it's tight. See that? Changing the sound? That's where it should be. See some little specks of dirt. I'm going to try and get that off with this paper towel. If you find a clean part, that'd be nice. All right. Let's see if that, yep. I kind of got those little dirt specks off of there. Okay. Now I am going to run this paper towel around the bottom of this bowl to get the dirt out, but I want to turn it this way so it doesn't fall into the bowl. And I'm going to go around like that. Try to knock that big stuff off of there. All right, so that still looks good inside. And now we're going to reassemble this. And you have to take that part that sticks up there, and it's going to line up with this little rectangle. And these screw holes here and here, those are open. Those aren't screw holes. These are the screw holes. Those are going to be like that, see? So they line up. All right? And try and just sort of squeeze that into position. It's not going to go in very much because it's really tightened by the screws which you're going to put in. So let's get those started. There's one. And there's two. I'm going to put my drill on the lowest torque. The last thing I want to do is over torque this going into plastic. We're going to snug these up a little. I'm going to watch this. It's getting close, then do the other side. You don't want to be out of balance. Okay, you see the carb bowl is starting to seat. You still see a little gap, and now I'm going to do this by hand. And then by hand, I'm actually turning the carburetor so that's snug. That's snug. That's snug. That's all you want. You don't want to overdo that. All right, so this carburetor now is ready to reinstall. It's not all that clean, but that's okay. It's on the outside. We're not worried about that. All right, so before I install this, I'm going to shut the camera off and